The Lord of the Rings trilogy is one of the best trilogies ever created. Many argue that it's better than the Star Wars sequel trilogy. Today, let's find out why the Lord of the Rings trilogy will never be equaled in the next 100 years. Let's get started. Respect for source material. LOTR is not the first epic fantasy series to make it to the screen, but it took things for a different level. Even after decades, the movie is beloved and still spawns memes. A lot of the time, you can see that Peter Jackson has taken lines or dialogue written by the Tolkien, and in other cases, the lines sound like they belong in Tolkien's world. Peter Jackson respects Tolkien's idea that the ring is evil and corrupts anyone who wears it. It's likely that a modern retelling of the books may feel tempted to undermine the importance of the ring. Though Peter Jackson made a few changes while adapting the story, he managed to condense the entire series into a coherent set of movies. Events like the encounter with Tom Bombadil and the Scouring of the Shire were omitted since he felt they disrupted the story. Even the changes to the relationship between Arwen and Aragorn are fine for a movie. Great characterization. Although the core story is about going on a long walk to destroy some jewelry, Peter Jackson makes us care for every character. You can see the different motivations. Frodo wants to go back to living in the Shire and wants the innocence he had before he found out he was the ring bearer. Gandalf and Aragorn worry about worldlier matters like geopolitics and kingship. Saruman and Sauron battle for power and supremacy over Middle-earth. They send creatures all around Middle-earth to do their bidding, while the humans, elves, dwarves, and hobbits are required to unite to defeat these forces. And Peter Jackson simplifies a complex story and gives it a compelling narration. He introduces characters slowly to make sure the viewer is not overloaded. Though there are references to Gondor, Rohan, Isengard, and Minas Tirith in the Fellowship of the Ring, we don't see much of these places or the characters in the places till the later movies. That way, the stakes feel real and the viewer knows what's happening on screen. Peter Jackson uses comedy when required, but it isn't disruptive like how Marvel movies use quipping in comedy. Emotional moments are given their just impact, and the viewer is allowed to feel the emotions the characters are going through. Filming. One part of the trilogy's charm comes from the fact that it was filmed on 35mm film instead of using digital, and where there was a requirement for special effects, green screens were used. In other cases, CGI was used to supplement the images. The sets use a mix of forced perspectives and large-scale models to create a world that feels real. Peter Jackson made New Zealand in Middle-earth, and he used various locations in the country to convey different settings in the story. Every part of Middle-earth looks like it's been lived in. You can see the effect that development, construction, and war have had on the land. During the trilogy, you can feel that you're in an ancient land where there were multiple great kingdoms, and then they fell into ruin after years of war and neglect. However, there are pockets and enclaves where life is still nurtured, and then you understand why it's so important to preserve these places. In addition, the threat of Sauron and Saruman destroying these places feels real. The Shire, Rivendell, Rohan, and Gondor all look different. You look at a still from the movie, you know where it's situated. Casting. The casting is just on point. Viggo Mortensen, Cate Blanchett, Ian McKellen, and Christopher Lee carry the show. Sean Bean, Carl Urban, and Hugo Weaving give excellent supporting performances. Many fans believe that the movie benefited from mainly using British, Australian, and Kiwi actors over your typical Hollywood types. Since Ian McKellen, Bernard Hill, and Christopher Lee have stage experience, they're able to give commanding performances. Soundtrack and BTS. We can't forget the incredible soundtrack that was composed by Howard Shore. He used techniques like leitmotifs and transitions to suit the action happening on the screen. Many viewers claim that they started appreciating opera and classical music thanks to Howard Shore. In addition, there's the loving attention to detail. When you watch the behind the scenes, you can see all the work that's gone into set design, props, costumes, and weapons. The DVD extras last for hours and show you that the people who worked behind the scenes loved what they did. And that's a wrap. Which trilogy compares to Lord of the Rings in terms of awesomeness? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.